Scoliosis is a curving of the spine, which affects an estimated 6 to 9 million people here in the United States. Now, the majority of these curves are minor, usually only requiring monitoring by a doctor, and do have only zero impact on the life of an individual. We wanted to learn more about scoliosis, particularly its impact on children. So joining us now is the expert, Dr. Jaren Reilly, with Rocky Mountain Hospital for Children. Dr. Reilly, first and foremost, thank you so much for being here with us. I understand you also describe scoliosis as being more than the curvature of the spine. So tell us a little bit more about scoliosis.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. But you're right, scoliosis does affect a lot of teenagers especially. And for those who are interested in sports, a lot of times they worry about whether the curve will get so big or if it will weaken the spine or if it will take them out of their sporting competitions. And so that's a big fear of theirs. Other times it can cause significant pain or deformity that can really impact a teenager's life.
Sure. I mean, especially with children, any diagnosis, a diagnosis early is really key. Is there any difference between young men and young women and children?
There are several different kinds of scoliosis, but with the most common types of scoliosis, we see slightly more women than men who have it, but by far the curves for females get worse more often than for boys.
Really?
So if you were to hang out in my clinic on a typical day, about 80 to 85% of the really large curves are found in young women.
Why is that? Do you know?
So we've done an awful lot of research into that. Is it a hormonal issue? Is it a difference in ligamentous tension or activities? And so far we haven't found the golden key or the common denominator. So we're still searching for that.
Sure. And what about treatment? I understand there are braces that people can wear, and especially children can wear. Is there additional treatment? Does this require surgery?
Sometimes it does. We try to place a premium on non-operative management, and there are better and better strategies that are coming out of physical therapy offices and chiropractic offices. And so all of those other practitioners around town who can help these kids with scoliosis are so valuable to us to try to keep kids out of the operating room. But yes, sometimes we end up in the operating room, and those kids especially, there's a lot of fear associated with that. They always worry about their long-term health because spine surgery can be an intimidating thing for a young kid or a teenager.
What do you tell them then, doctor, when that is the prognosis at this point, it is going to require surgery? How do you help calm their fears?
So we typically have a really frank discussion, and the main gist of the discussion is that if the curve is big enough that we're talking about surgery, that means that leaving the curve alone is riskier to their long-term health than the surgery is, even with its potential complications. However, again, activities are paramount to these kids, whether it's their art class or drama or football. They all want to know how active can they be for the rest of their life. And the good news is they can typically be as active as they want to be, even up to the highest levels of competition.
So even with treatments, if it's the brace or different treatments all the way up to surgery, what kind of impacts are there later in life, if any?
So I'd say, first of all, for bracing is a tough psychological and emotional treatment on a kid. When you talk about medicines and pills that we take, you always talk about side effects and the things that can make people feel worse instead of better. And especially for teenage girls who are going through the development of their identity and outward appearances and social pressures, braces can be really tough. So I get a lot of mothers in my office whose children need to be braced, and the mother was braced when she was a teenager, and they still carry scars from that. So we try our best to tell them that they have an entire team when it comes to myself and my assistants and our physician assistants. We are there to support them. They can call us, they can email us, they can text us, they can do anything to get a hold of us, and we'll help them through that. But it is tough. I'd say bracing is probably the toughest thing that those teenagers go through.
Well, I'm glad that they have a doctor like you that's as available and as frank as you said as you are in those conversations, certainly honest and taking great care of them. So thank you, Dr. Reilly, for all of your information today, too.
Thank you.
Of course. We'll be right back.